Hello, hello. You're tuned into this week's episode of the Steam Deck podcast, Flip Screen Games weekly podcast all about Valve's portable PC powerhouse, the Steam Deck. I'm your host, Stephen Radford, joined as always by my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Max Wright.
Ahoy, ahoy.
How you doing, Max?
I'm okay. Something about the intro always makes me thirsty because I reach for the bottle as you're talking.
Because you see me, that's what
That's
it is.
exactly it. You make me so thirsty.
Yeah.
And I realised, because a couple of weeks ago I took a big sip and then you called me out for taking a big sip. So now I feel self-conscious about taking the
You know
big
what? I'll take a sip with you, but I'll use my Steam Deck mug.
Oh, yeah, mine's downstairs.
Yeah.
I was going to take it to work as my main mug. If you're listening, have a little big sip along as well. Keep hydrated.
Yeah, stay hydrated. It has been like 30 degrees here today, and let me tell you, Max. After our we went out for dinner on Sunday, and it was lovely. And we sat out in the sun afterwards, and I was with Max and his very lovely fiance, and I burnt my head. And
Did
it has been sore. It has been pink, and it has been sore for days.
Top of your head.
Yeah, like full on burnt. Not
wearing a
used to
hat.
not having hair.
That's true. I still think I've got a decent blocker here.
Yeah,
I was wearing a hat. I am starting to get like what I would consider to be for some people. Tan. Yeah, it's definitely a farmer's tan, but I would also not sure it's tan. It's just like I'm not paper white, you know.
Yeah, that's what mine is. Because on camera you can't even tell.
Yeah, you can't.
Underneath that watch, there's a little bit of a line.
Yeah,
and I'm taking that to the grave.
I'm nervous about getting in the shower and it all coming off, and I'm just dirty.
I'm always just nervous.
Caked in shit. Is that what you're going to say?
No, I was not going to say that.
Oh, sorry.
I was nervous about getting in the shower after I burnt my head, and I was not wrong because the water felt like someone was like chucking glass at my head.
Jeez. I mean, you don't need to use shampoo anymore, so you don't.
No, that's true. I use a tiny little bit.
Do you know why?
Small spit.
It's not even because of the hair. It's more because I'm like, I've been conditioned, which is not a joke. That Head and Shoulders is good for dandruff. I'm like, well, I can still get dandruff. I don't know if I do, or but as long as I keep
what I always
massaging
think. I use a bit of Nizoral on there because I'm like, I don't want to get the flakes, you know.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. I'm glad that we're having shared experiences.
Yeah. Well, we're not here to talk about our showering habits this week. No. We are instead here to finally answer the Baron's question about performance and optimization of games. The Baron asked this a very long time ago over on our Discord. You can find our Discord if you go to our website, flipscreen.games, and click the Discord icon. Come chat, come ask questions, come hang out with us. They asked, is it better to change performance settings across the board for the Steam Deck rather than setting things like TDP limit per game? Or is the opposite better, choosing to change settings per game rather than having all of the performance settings the same for all games? Now, this very much depends on your situation because you might want to limit the TDP and like try and eke out all the battery you've got if you've only got like 20% left and you're on a flight and you really don't want to. But having said that, I think for most people, you're probably going to want to take the time to tweak the settings to do it. And that doesn't just stop with the quick access menu performance screen. That it can expand out, and we'll talk about that, right?
Yeah, I with the TDP settings, I found that I was actually overdoing it, and I was actually like taking just for extra battery life. I was actually like taking away some performance, and I would forget. I'm like, why is this like chugging a little bit? I'm like, oh, it's because I've set the TDP really low because I thought this can handle it. And sometimes games can surprise you with like if there's things going on that require a bit more compute power, and you're taking away the battery, your frame rate can suffer in some ways.
For the most part, TDP is probably one I never touch because I find that the Steam Deck does a really good job of automatically varying that for you. If I'm playing something by like Balatro or Stardew Valley or something small like that, Vampire Survivors, I'm getting a lot of battery anyway. I'm getting hours and hours out of it. Yeah. It's already noticing that actually this isn't drawing a lot of power. I don't need to, put the fans on. I don't need to throw everything at it. Whereas I play something like, The Last of Us or say Hellblade 2, which this week got a new update and has the Steam Deck profile now that we'll talk about. That will suck your battery life because the Steam Deck knows, I need to give it some more power.
When we played or we spoke about Battle.net having Games Pass games on it, the first game I booted up was Crash Bandicoot 4. I think it was Crash
It's
4.
weird that it was only that one that was on there,
Yeah, I
and
thought
not
that was
like
odd
I wanted
considering you've got
is it the Nitro trilogy, whatever
yeah,
it is?
something like that. Yeah, the Insane Trilogy, is it? Something like
Mm,
that. And I wanted the
that's it,
Spyro
yeah.
one as well. But anyway, so I boot up Crash 4 and my fans start going and the game I don't know what it was about that initial boot. It was struggling. It was the frame rate was really, really shaky. It was running at full thing. I looked at the quick settings, battery life was like gonna die in like an hour, and I was like, this is bizarre. So I gave quit out, gave the whole thing a restart, and it was better. But it was weird that it just didn't recognize it was panicking for some reason that wherever this game was drawing a lot of power. Yeah, you're right. When you boot up something like I don't know an emulator, you like I remember the first time I booted up Metroid Fusion and I looked at the quick settings menu, and I was like, oh, I'm getting 7 hours of battery life on this thing. And I think people when they talk about, and this is the conversation people are having with the Switch 2 at the moment as well, is that they say a 2 hour battery life for the Steam Deck and for the Switch 2, but that really is like worst case scenario. You're playing
Yeah, yeah.
big.
I mean, when it comes to the Switch, I remember the original Switch. It was like you get a 2 hour or 2.5 hour battery when you're playing Breath of the Wild in handheld nonstop. Like
Yeah.
that was that they actually gave you the benchmark that they ran. With the Steam Deck, is obviously a little bit more tricky to measure that because
Yeah.
there's so much variety on what you can do. You know, you might be the kind of player who's like, I'm gonna draw back everything. I don't care if there's shadows. I want it to look like a potato. I just want all the performance I can get. You know, like I'm playing. You know, I don't know, something like Overwatch or whatever, and I want to
Yeah, a bit more
get everything out
competitive.
of it. I'm going competitive, so I don't need it to look pretty. I just want to be able
Yeah.
to play my game. Versus someone who wants all the bells and whistles, you're going to need a little bit more compute power thrown at that.
I was playing when I booted up PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, for the first time in what year did that come out? 2017. So how many years that is?
8.
8 years. There you go.
That's
Booted up for the first time in
how
eight
long I've
years
been here.
recently. Yeah, 2018 was when we met. So
Yeah, yeah.
close enough. Yeah. So I booted up PUBG to play with a friend for the first time in that long. And I was like, God, this game looks like hot garbage. Why the hell have they not in this time use that time to like improve the visuals and blah blah blah? Looked at the settings and it's me setting it down to low everything to get one the most performance and two to get the foliage as little as possible so you could
So you can
see
actually
people
see stuff.
hiding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that like that's the thing. Now, for me, I want to talk about this more because Sirion3 in Discord replied to the Baron and said, I gave up on tweaking the Steam Deck. Either the game runs fine with native settings or I simply run it through GeForce Now. I think this is interesting because we are seeing more and more developers bringing Steam Deck profiles. Hellblade 2, Senwa's Sacrifice, got an update this week with a Steam Deck update. I mean, that's what, a year and change after
Yeah,
launch?
I think it came out pretty late last year, I think. But yeah, you are yeah. But it's weird that, I mean, I guess it just got the PS5 update as well, right? Is that what it I'm pretty sure there's like a PS5 version that just came out and they've probably then
Yeah, it's
decided
the
to do like a
enhanced
general
edition that
patch. Yeah,
came
that's
out
it.
for PS5, and is also is an update for PC as well with the enhanced edition. And then alongside that, they have released the Steam Deck update, which has made it Steam Deck verified. Because previously it was playable, but it wasn't it wasn't
It's one of
incredible.
those like the one thing I'd said about that game, and I didn't play a lot of it because I found it really boring compared to the first one, but it looked incredible, and I think I'm surprised there's a Steam Deck set like there's a playable, verified Steam Deck profile for this because it's one of those games that I was like, no chance. I played it on Game Pass and thought there's absolutely no chance this is going to run on Steam Deck in any capacity. So
It's not great. It still
okay,
doesn't run particularly great. It sets it down to the lowest quality settings with FSR 3.1 upscaling in performance mode. It can just about hit 30 frames per second.
That's with performance and at lower settings.
Correct. And the faces are blurry messes. And if this is the only way you've got to play this game and you loved the first one and you really want to see, Senwa's next story or whatever, maybe play it this way. Personally, I kind of agree with Sirion on this. Like, I'd stream this through GeForce Now or through Xbox, and that would be the only way I would play something like Hellblade. However, Cyberpunk, obviously did get the Steam Deck settings, and that plays a treat.
Yeah, we saw the comparisons with the Switch 2 version recently, and in while docked, there's a bit, the Switch 2 having DLSS and being able to get more power. No, not even more power. Being more efficient means you get better performance when you're docked. But in handheld, it's pretty neck and neck. So you're getting like the full experience there, and I like that they. I mean, that was available when the Steam Deck was available. I'm pretty sure that's not like something that came in recently. That's been around for as long as I've had a Steam Deck. There has been a Steam
I
Deck.
think it came out with the DLC, right? The one
that would make sense. Yeah. Thingy.
Yeah, with Idris
Yeah,
Elba.
that's him. Yeah. Thingy. It was called Thingy Night City.
Thingy Night City with
Something
Idris
City.
Elba. That's the actual name.
That's it. That's the full one. Yeah. I think that it's nice that they do this, but I do think that if you're going to be like Hellblade and you're going to do like hey, we're Steam Deck verified and here's the Steam Deck settings, and then you go and buy that game for whatever it costs, £50, let's say, and then you boot it up, and then you're like, oh, this looks like shit. Maybe I should go and enable the Steam Deck settings, and it already is enabled.
Yeah.
You're going to be sorely disappointed.
I mean, the beauty is you can refund that. You do have the 2-hour window. I would say though, never pre-order a game. Check the reviews. Have a look on the Steam Deck subreddit. Have a look on websites like Steam Deck HQ. Have a look on ProtonDB, Share Deck Games, those kind of places that we'll talk about, to just see how the game plays. Look at people's reviews and say, like, did this run well enough for me on Steam Deck to want to play it, and make that choice, because it's obviously you are going to have to make compromises. It's not going to run in the same way that it runs on like a home console or your 4090 at home. It is on a Steam Deck, and you do have to realize that some of these games do need to be toned down pretty significantly in order to play. Whether you want to make that sacrifice or not is entirely up to you. I think tweaking the in-game settings is probably where you're going to get the kind of best results for games, because you have to make that compromise as to what it is that you want to aim for. For me, like, I always try and aim for like 40 hertz in the frame rate. I don't know about you.
I go for 45.
45
is my sweet spot, just because that's directly slap bang in the middle between 30 and. I know the extra 10% is nice, but I feel like that works best on a 120 hertz display, which this isn't.
It does.
If they did 120
it can
hertz.
change the refresh rate, right? So like it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, but then sure. I mean, I guess you're right. But I get
what you're saying though. Like 45 probably is the sweet spot. If
I'm trying to aim for like the best I can.
Yeah. If not, like 30 is the next best for me. But anything 60, 90 for me, it's just like it's overkill. I don't notice 90 hertz to my eye. I'm not one of those people that can see 90 hertz on a screen.
I definitely feel it. Like if I'm playing something that's like quick inputs and it's quite a fast-paced game, you can feel 90. Like there's just something about like you boot up a game and you're like, yeah, that feels like that's using the full range of the refresh rate. And you look in the settings where you bring up the menu, and it is. And I think 60 is one of those ones where like 60 to me is like the standard, and therefore the game's playing at 60. I don't notice it either way. I'm never like, wow, that's running really smooth. I'm just like, this is a game playing as a game should play. Unless it's like something you've played before, like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom on Switch 2, where when I booted that up, I was like, like, because I'm so used to this game running like shit, being juddery, this is like a breath of fresh air or a tears of fresh air or whatever.
Oh,
and the
bringing tears to your eyes.
Bringing tears to my eyes. But then when something's at 90, you're like, oh boy, I need to put the brakes on here, boys, because I am moving. And especially like, this isn't Steam Deck related necessarily, but I was playing, help me out. Final Fantasy 16, and it was running at 60 FPS, but I got a mod that lets it run at 120 with frame gen. So even though it's running at 60, it was outputting 120 with frame gen, and that felt smooth. It felt really nice. It felt better than just running at 60.
Yeah, I can imagine that. That probably felt really good. I don't know. For me, like I'm not willing to make the compromise I need to make to get to 90 hertz, which is I've got to usually get rid of pretty much all the bells and whistles in order to
depends on the game you're playing, right?
Yeah, but then something like Balatro, am I really going to notice that at 90 hertz? What's the point? I might as well
Yeah.
knock that back to 45. It's pretty much as good to my eye, and I'm getting more battery life.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. There are some games like I don't know. I played the 2012, I want to say, Tomb Raider reboot last year.
13.
2013, thank you. And I booted that up, and it was instantly running at max settings, 90 FPS, and that felt great.
Those are great games, and they look fantastic as well.
Yeah, they really do. Yeah, I think we spoke about this before about like the sweet spot for games on the Steam Deck, and it is that era of like the early 2010s up to about like 2017, 2018 ish.
It's like PS4.
That's when you're getting PS4 games look really good, and they run really well, and a lot of them are like when you play them on the PS4 and they're locked to medium settings, they're a bit blurrier. Like you're playing them on an older TV as well. Being able to whack up the refresh rate, whack up the settings. Games from that era can look incredible. If it wasn't for like the and this is more PS3 era, if it wasn't for the just like the lack of color for some of these games, like you boot up something like I don't know, no, I can't think of any examples now. But if you were to boot up a game that was like not Ocarina of Time, but like just a PS3 era Bayonetta, the original Bayonetta, let's say you boot that game up, there's nothing you can do that's not going to make that look like a brown and grey.
I want to play that game. I was stuck in hospital when that game came out, and for the Switch, and I was like really excited to try it. I was like, oh, I can't wait. Bayonetta. I got the like version with Bayonetta 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I hadn't redeemed the code because I'd have got more money for it. I hated it. I couldn't.
Did you really?
That game. I really did not like it. I didn't find the humor funny. I didn't like the visual aesthetics. I didn't really like the gameplay. I was like, why did I waste my money on this game?
Is it because it's a sexy lady and that's not
it was the boobs, yeah.
Yeah, that's off-putting to you, isn't it?
not really, Max. No. Otherwise I wouldn't be playing a lot of video games, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I liked Bayonetta 2 on the Bayonetta 1. That's because Bayonetta 2 is very colourful and bright, and there's a lot of
and it had the option to put the clothes on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Bayonetta 3, I haven't played enough to know, but still.
Yeah, so going back to the settings, there are a good few places to do it. I mean, you can tweak it yourself, which is always a good first port of call. I would say go with like the base setting that the game's given you because it usually benchmarks it and figures it out. And then open up the performance kind of on-screen timing charts and things and just play around and like go, I want to get up to say from 30 to 45. Well, I'm going to have to turn some things down. I need to turn off the shadows. Maybe real-time reflections are gone. Maybe I'm reducing the internal resolution and I'm using something like FSR or XeSS to upsample and upscale it and get it looking like it is a higher resolution. Or what I think the majority of people probably do is, and it's what Shirifu has said that they do. I generally Google the best settings for any individual game if I feel like performance needs to be smoothed out. Don't touch anything like TDP. For context, I only play handheld with access to power if needed, not on the go. So they will look at places like Proton DP, they said, which is always a good port of call to see if the game even plays, because obviously we know that the Steam Deck Verified program is not 100% accurate. It's a good first glance, but I think Proton DP is like user reviews and people can put what they want down there.
Yeah, and you can get a good idea of like what people have. You can see that someone's played like I've played 20 hours of this and I got this performance out of it. Here's the settings I used, or here's what I had to do. And you can even see in there people said I played this game at 40 FPS and I got this much battery life out of it. And it's just very handy for things like that.
But you've highlighted some other places, and I presume you've used these. Have you used these just for the deck?
Haven't used the first two. So there's the deck settings Decky plugin. Which is a plugin. I think it's still being updated now. There was an older version of it that was just called Share Deck that isn't being updated anymore. But the deck settings Decky plugin basically like collects user ratings or user like submissions for here's the settings I used. I don't think you can. It'd be handy if you could like import them directly in the same way you do with like control settings, things like that. That'd be really handy if Steam had like a you can just have your what's the file called? What's the file where all the settings are kept?
It's just a settings file, like a
Yeah.
config
So
file.
yeah,
I mean, that's the problem. It's like each game stores them in a different place. Like
Mm,
I'd had an idea to make a plugin like this. Someone beat me to it with the share deck one, but it never read where the game settings were saved. Because it would
mm,
be amazing to just be able to go like download settings in the same way
yeah,
you can do with the controller configs, and like that
yeah.
would just be incredible to be able to do that.
Yeah. So someone was like, "Oh, I've played this game." Like ProtonDB, they've said, "Oh, if you want to play 60 FPS for this, here's this. If you want to play 30 FPS, here's that." ShareDeck, I think, is actually the source where deck settings, because deck settings used to be called ShareDeck. There's a website called sharedeck.games. You can go on there. You can search for a game. You can sign in with Steam to list the games that you've played recently, and in there you can click and you can see what people have done for what their settings are. You can see how long they've played it for. You can see like how long they've played it for at what FPS. I think it
Well,
might even be
even
battery life
whether
as
they
well,
were
right?
on like, yeah, there are like battery saving modes, what Proton version they used, what
Mm,
SteamOS version they used, whether they were on the LCD model or the OLED model. Like, there's so much cool
it's
information in here.
very handy, and it's not something I've ever been aware of until like thinking about this and having this conversation with you before, where I found this website and was like, "Oh, this is cool." And you can sort by like, there's like if there's a section on this website called like battery savers, and you can see games that have like good battery life. A lot of them are older games, obviously, but if you're like someone who you want to play for a long time, you don't care what you play, you've got like a long journey to do. You want to play something that's going to last you 10 hours. You click in here, you can play Half Life or Portal or Quake or something that's older, but like you'll get a lot of time out of it without having to charge. Um, and then also there's, I guess, similar to what Shitty Foo would do. Steam Deck HQ regularly do like, here's a popular game, here's the settings. And Overkill.wtf, friend of the show, uh, every now and again we'll do something similar if the game is like particularly popular. They've got a guy, can't remember the guy's name. This is not good. Who they specifically get to do these sort of like settings videos and like how to get the best performance. Or we've done it once or twice. I think we did it for Helldivers 2. We had the best settings to play to get sort of 40 FPS, 45 FPS. But I again didn't find that was worth the compromise to play on Steam Deck versus other options.
Yeah, I think the guy you're talking about is Timo Schmidt.
That is
Um,
exactly who I'm talking about. That is
and
exactly
yeah, he does some great articles about, like, he did one for like the Oblivion, for example, if you wanted to
Mm,
be able to get that to play, and what settings you needed to be able to do. They have like great comparisons between the base settings and what you can eke out of it, that kind of thing. But I think it really is kind of, your mileage varies, and it depends how much time you want to put in to be able to perfect this and get what you get what you give out of it, I think.
that is the beauty of like PC gaming in general, but I guess with the Steam Deck is you can just, as it comes, put up with it. Or if you want to put the time into it, you can do all of this extra bits. And I think that not being forced into one way of doing it is, if you're a tinkerer, you're going to get a lot of fun out of it. And if you're not, you can just play it as is. But tinkerers are also, or have been given other options before, right? We've spoken about these things in videos you've done in the past, or topics we've talked about. So one of them was cryo utilities. That was one that we spoke about a lot.
Yeah, cryo utilities was kind of like a big thing, I would say, a couple years ago now.
Hmm.
And there was like an update where it would let you, the Steam Deck kind of made this so it was null and void. Then the OLED model came out, and that needed to be updated. More recently, though, SteamOS 3.6 has moved to use ZRAM. It's moved from swap files, so cryo utilities is currently broken. I think there is a beta version that's out, but right now it's broken. I also found that with the BIOS updates that the Steam Deck got, this wasn't really necessary anymore. I
Mm,
never found that I was eking much performance out of it. You could theoretically get a little bit more performance out of your games if you do this. So you mess around in the BIOS and you change like the ratio of how much RAM you want to assign to the GPU rather than the CPU. But obviously,
mm.
that's a setting in the BIOS. So if you switch between games pretty regularly, you're going to have to go back to the BIOS and change that setting back.
It's
I
beyond what normal tinkering, I guess, that is.
Yeah, I think for me, it's not worth it. I would just go with base stock now. It's what
Yeah.
I do, and I tweak with things like profiles in the game. Using things like FSR and XeSS, I usually opt for XeSS if the game supports it. I found it looks a little bit better. It doesn't glisten as much.
Yeah, the FSR that's supported on Steam Deck isn't great. Like having used FSR4 quite a lot since that came out this year, it's night and day between FSR4 and FSR 3.1. I
Hopefully,
just
we'll
hope.
get some more games that are compatible with
Yeah, I'm
FSR4
hoping
or
RDNA 4 or UDNA whenever that comes out. Hopefully, that's the kind of
yeah.
thing that you're going to see on like future Steam Decks because that would be very handy.
And we'd obviously seen that FrameGen plugin a few weeks
Yes,
back that we spoke about. Have you had a chance to use that yet?
No, I have not.
No, me too. Me neither. I mean, it's kind of like, is it worth it? You know, like you're not, unless the game really runs at 60. I would say like you're probably going to feel the frame generation.
Yeah, that's a rule for me. Like if you're using FrameGen to get to 60, it's not worth using FrameGen. If you're using FrameGen to get like
60 to 90, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Or on Monster Hunter Wilds, for example, it's about 45, but using FrameGen, you could get it up to like, you can get it to 90. And I feel like I'd rather play it at 90 than 45 on my PC, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's a shame you have to do that, but that game is just a shit show anyway. Before we move away from cryo utilities, I have not used this probably in about a year because I just realized there was no. But what I do use it for is where I have some games on my SD card, some games on my storage. There is a feature in Cryo Utilities that lets you put them in the right place. All of your so if you've got a game that you've got installed in your SD card and the shader cache is somewhere on the in your other files, you can sort of like put them in the right place. So the games with the shader cache. I don't know if that's handy. Also, you can use it to delete unused shader caches if you've not had it. If you don't have a game installed, but there's still like a big shader cache taking up space, you can just go through and just wipe all of your uninstalled game shader caches in Cryo Utilities, which is probably the only thing I've used recently. So
yeah, it's a nice little tool, especially if you're on a 64 gigabyte model still, because the shader caches are all stored on the internal memory. You cannot install them on the SD card, from what I recall. So it can easily suck up a lot of your storage if you don't keep an eye on those shader caches and clear them out. There is a way to do it without Cryo Utilities. I think you can do it within the settings of the.
Okay.
But it deletes it for every single game. You can't just do it on a per game basis.
Oh, I see. Yeah, this like you can just say delete all uninstalled games and it'll just wipe them all, and then you get less yellow bar taking up space on when you look at the storage.
Yeah, which is handy. So I mean, that's a nice reason to use it. Whether you want to use it to tweak the VRAM, to tweak the swappiness of your swap files, that kind of thing. It's really dependent on whether you think you're going to get any performance out of the game. Personally, I don't think it's worth doing anymore. It was, but for now, since the switch to ZRAM from using swap files, it seems to be breaking anyway. So kind of your mileage is going to vary there.
Yeah.
Another thing we did do a video on a while back was power tools. So I did a video about optimizing the GameCube emulator for when you're playing games, GameCube games on your Steam Deck. One of the key things was power tools, because it allowed you to turn off specific cores, and the hyper-threading, essentially between giving more threads, was causing slowdown for Dolphin. Power tools allowed you to turn that off. This was a bug that's long been solved in SteamOS. Power tools is no longer necessary.
I have not had this installed since I got my Steam Deck OLED. I've just had I only really used it for that, and I've just not seen any use for it since. Maybe it is like maybe there's going to be a reason for it. It's interesting that it's still something that EmuDeck recommends almost. Like if you go in the tools, I was using that as a quick way to, if I needed to reload DecuLoader, I would use that Power Tools link to install it from scratch. But then I just downloaded the desktop file that you just double click and it downloads the latest version anyway. So it's just something I don't necessarily use anymore. I don't necessarily even use Decu that much anymore because once the plugins that I've got, I'm happy with it. I never really look for new ones. It's not a great experience for like discovering new ones or finding ones that are actually useful.
No, it's not, and it's easy for them to be abandoned. It looks like Graham, the guy that was maintaining Power Tools, actually archived the repo now on GitHub. So I presume that it's It's no longer needed. He's not put the work in to do it, to turn off SMT, not hyper-threading. That's Intel's word for it. So.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, whether you want to still use it or not, you can if you want. It's not really going to do anything for you. I think for me, the big question is going back to Sirion 3. Is any of this worth it? If you just want to play games, should you just stick with the base settings? Maybe use a guide from Shared Deck or from Steam Deck HQ or something, or just stream it. Like, what's your view, Max?
Streaming. I mean, I've said this so many times on the show. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but as someone who has a lovely computer and blah blah blah, I find streaming from my computer to be the best way to play absolutely anything. I get the benefits of the battery life. I get the benefits of not having to worry about tweaking settings. 90%. Oh, I also get the benefit of being able to play stuff from Games Pass or anything that's not necessarily on Steam and therefore requires like another launcher or blah blah blah. You know, it's the Steam Deck has become mostly that for me. Unless it's like the hot new indie game and I'm going to be playing it out and about or taking it to friends' houses because then it's not as good. But I feel like my Steam Deck is often a terminal to my computer now, and it's amazing at that. So I'm not saying that in any kind of negative way because I think it's incredible at doing that. And now I've worked out that I didn't actually have HDR turned on my TV. Games look so much better now on my TV.
I can imagine, you can imagine that's a big difference. I don't know how you didn't have that turned on, but yeah.
It's because it's not called HDR. It's called something.
I would imagine it was like HDMI deep color or something. You didn't have turned
not even
on.
that. No, it was something like HDMI plus or something like that. Oh. And I had to go in and turn it on per
Sounds
HDMI.
Like an update. Sounds like a subscription service.
It does sound like. But when I swapped out my, I unplugged my Switch 2 dock and then plugged it in up here, and then plugged my second Switch 2 dock I got downstairs. I then had to go back into the settings and re-enable HDR again. So anytime you unplug the thing, it turns off. I don't know. It's an older Samsung TV, I think, at this point. But yeah, like I'm feeling like there's no compromise by doing that. I'm just getting nothing but benefits by doing it.
Yeah, I mean, you have the luxury if you have a really nice PC that you can do that. I mean, I guess the thing is, it depends how you use your Steam Deck. I think a lot of people use it in that way. It seemingly is the same way that Shidafu uses it. I mean, they said that they only play handheld with access to power if needed, not on the go, not on a train, not in a tree, not in a car, nor on TV. I am pretty much the same. The only time I will plug it into the TV is if I'm playing something like Jackbox and I want to put it on the TV and play with friends. But for the most part, I'm playing on my Steam Deck when Henry wants to use the TV and I still want to play video games and we still want to sit in the same room together and still hang out, and he can watch, the Kardashians and I can play Kim Kardashian's amazing game on my Steam Deck. So it's brilliant. It's great. We both get to interact with the Kardashians in different ways.
The Kardashians are very personal. It's not religion. Whatever Kardashians mean to you is sacred, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I choose not to partake personally.
Well, that's really sad. You should.
Yeah, it is. So there's got to be an agnostic or atheist joke in there somewhere.
They're going to come. The Kardashians are going to come for you now. They're going to come at you.
That's fine. I
don't know what the Kardashian fans are called. It's like Swifties. You can't say anything bad about Taylor Swift. They'll just come for you.
The Dash Hounds, Cardinals.
The Cardinals.
The Cardinals. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's crazy that it's the Kardashians and then half of the family and the really rich ones are the Jenners.
Yeah, I think they're really riding on that Kardashian name. I think that they
have a little bit, but
if you could be any rich family, who would you be? In any rich family, sorry.
The Trumps, obviously.
Yeah, of course. I can see that about you, actually.
Yeah, big time.
You've got that big tanned part on the top of your head, haven't you now? So
I do now, yeah. I do now. No. Rich family I would want to be in? I don't know. That's a really interesting question. We'll have to think about that one.
It is. Maybe that should be a topic for an After Dark or something.
Yeah, we should do an episode like that. Don't want to be, Elon Musk's estranged son or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to reap the benefits without having to be involved. Like that Osborne, the Osborne kid that wasn't.
That's never there.
Yeah.
Crazy. But I mean, that's sort of like the Kardashians. Rob Kardashian is not on the show.
Is he not?
No,
But how does everyone know who he is then?
because he's Robert Kardashian's son.
Hang on a minute. I'm gonna see if I recognise this.
He was
Okay, I
on the
do.
show. He's when he was younger, and then he decided when he grew up, I don't want to be on the show. So he's
Oh, I
not on the
see.
show.
Okay. Yeah, I recognise this guy's face.
Yeah, most people do recognize his face. He's a very famous man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much the way the Baron. To answer your question, in summary, tweak per game, not globally settings.
Yeah.
And yes, you can muck around in the performance panel. However, you're going to get most of the settings in the game is where you're going to get most of the performance out of it, and most of the utility for it is going to come from tweaking game settings. Websites like ShareDeck, websites like ProtonDB, we'll put links in the description. Yeah. Otherwise, I think that's pretty much it from what I would do. Max, have you got anything else?
Yeah, I think look before you buy. I know people do anyway, but we know that the verified thing is not necessarily that trustworthy. Check these sites before you buy the game. Not like don't do the I'll buy Oblivion remastered and then after the fact look up how it runs and then complain that it doesn't run well. Like
Yes. Yeah.
understand the limits of the system you own.
I got stung with The Last of Us Part 2, and I after that.
Did you get got by both the Last of Us games?
No, Part 2 came out before Part 1, didn't it? Or was it Part 1 before
No, it was
Part
Part
2?
1 came out.
I got stung with The Last of Us Part 1.
Yeah.
Because it was Steam Deck verified.
Yeah, we both got stuck by that.
Advertised on their website, and it was everywhere, and I thought it was going to be brilliant, and it was hot garbage.
I remember the day that came out, and we got it, and you were like, "Let's talk about this," and then
we couldn't get into it because it took like 6 hours to build the shaders.
we were minutes away from recording, and I was like, "These shaders have not gone yet. I'm going to need." And then luckily, you'd had just enough time to say it wasn't very good, and I was like, "Good, okay," because I've not even had a chance. And I uninstalled it. Pretty sure mid-show I uninstalled it. So
I had faith. I played it all the way through on the Steam Deck. I had a good time. I met the cannibals. It was great.
Spoilers.
Oh, come on. People have even seen the show at this point, Max.
For me, spoilers for me. I haven't played that much. I've seen the show.
Sorry. Well, yeah, you saw the show, so you met the cannibals in the show, so you knew that was coming.
I don't remember any cannibals in the show.
There was cannibals in the show. I'm sure there was.
I don't know.
Wasn't it Troy Baker that was the
Stop.
cannibal?
But now I remember. You've managed to re-spoil it for me. You spoiled it for me twice in the same conversation. I would have been surprised by that when I got to that in the game, but whatever.
Weirdly, it's not Troy Baker in the game who plays the cannibal, by the way. Do you know who it is?
The other one, Nolan North.
It's Nolan North. Nolan North.
Look at that.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Troy Baker is Joel, right?
Troy Baker is Joel, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Nolan North is who?
Uncharted man. Mr.
Uncharted man, aka Nathan Drake.
Nathan Drake. Drake. He's the guy I was thinking about when I was thinking about grey brown games. Was Uncharted.
Uncharted, yeah, to some extent, but then Uncharted 2 and 3 and 4.
It's just that era of like the PS3 era, it's just all of those games were like, hey, do you know what's realistic is not having any color, and then 10 years down the line, the games that were colorful. Yeah, exactly. 10 years down the line,
Killzone to Horizon is just an insane jump. It's like, we had mess and gore and realism, and then we went for like luscious greenery and like robots.
All the games that back then, like I don't know, Nintendo games like Skyward Sword HD or I don't know, Mario Galaxy or whatever, games that like were probably seen as like, why are they using these GameCube ass graphics with all these bright colors? Nowadays look fantastic still compared to the grey and brown.
Skyward Sword fantastic.
I think Skyward Sword looks great. I think it's an art style that like that sort of like watercolory painted. I think it looks great. Still.
Okay. I think it looks muddy.
I played it very recently.
The way I would say it.
So, looks what?
Muddy. All the colours sort of meld into one another. It's like,
Did you play the remaster?
No.
Play the remaster. It's very nice.
Okay, maybe I should. Maybe I should play the remaster. But doesn't it require motion controls?
No. I started with motion. I had great intentions of playing with motion controls, and I played like the first half of the game with motion controls. And I was like, I would like to play this not at my TV. I'd like to play this in bed or at work or whatever. So I was like, right, I'm going to force myself to pick up hold L to move the camera, and then when I'm not holding the camera, that control was my stick, and then I played the rest of the game with that, and it was a great experience. Played with the Pro controller, I would play it on whatever system you deem, that you want to play it on.
Obviously, my Switch too.
Obviously, on your Switch too.
Obviously.
But I played it on.
Not with mods
I did,
on my Steam Deck.
No. But I did play a little bit on the Steam Deck before I got it on the Switch too. So it runs fine.
Okay, maybe I'll borrow your copy at some point, and I'll see. We'll see. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, this has been the Steam Deck podcast, not Nintendo Noise.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. With a very special thank you for our Patreon producers for the month of August. They are, of course, Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valens, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, aka Sobi, Steve Stompy, Susan Starlight's Cats, and also Boobies, Voodoo Vic, One Kid Nick, Ty the Dude, and Wackahula. Remember, if you want to let us know what you thought about this week's show, if you have any other suggestions on how you can eke out performance, if you, like streaming or not like streaming, let us know down in the comments below, or visit flipscreen.games to come and visit us in our Discord and keep the conversation going there. If you're watching on YouTube, please remember to give this episode a like, share it with a friend, click the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And if you're an audio listener, please take a second to leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps get the show circulated. I have been Steve. That has been Max.
Still am.
Yeah, still are. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.